Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com for non-boxing related sports picks. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, as subscribers know, I like betting futures. I feel that that's one of the best ways to take money from Las Vegas, right? I've already cashed on the Cowboys under 9.5 wins. Right? Understand the Cowboys have already lost 7 games. They mathematically have no chance of winning more than 9.5 games. Right? Let me say, by the way, I made that play when Tony Romo was healthy, when Des Bryant was healthy, at the beginning of the year. Right? I think the public thinks more of the Dallas Cowboys than I do. In any event, let's talk about a bet I'm going to miss miserably on. You need to be aware of it because there's money to be made betting on this team. In the NBA, in basketball, I took the under 58.5 wins for the Golden State Warriors. Right? My logic was simply, it's hard to win 59 games or more in this league. Right? I thought, you know what, other teams are going to make adjustments. The Warriors are going to go from being just another team on your schedule to the reigning NBA champs. Every team is going to step up with their A game. Well, I'm going to lose that bet, and I know I'm going to lose that bet now on November 23rd, first month of the season. Right? About 3 weeks in. The Golden State Warriors right now are unbeaten. Right? The coach they lost, Steve Kerr, who's out due to back problems, right? He'll return later, but he's out due to back problems, has been replaced by Luke Walton, Bill Walton's kid. And Luke Walton seems to have excellent interpersonal skills, right? He seems to be able to deal with, talented players and get them to accept their roles. Keep in mind, the Super Bowl MVP, Andre Iguodala, is a guy who currently comes off the bench on the Warriors, right? NBA Finals MVP, right? It's amazing that guys like that, guys like Andrew Bogut, who's making a lot of money, look at his salary numbers, right? At a tough position to fill, center. It's amazing all of these guys are accepting their roles, are accepting their minute restrictions. Right? Everyone's back. Sean Livingston, he's back. The Warriors remain one of the deepest teams in the league. Let me go one step further, though. There's a culture in San Francisco that has great players improving their games. Right? This is the opposite of what's happening in Houston with James Harden. Right? In Golden State, I believe they have 2 of the 10 best players in the league. The first is the reigning MVP, Steph Curry. This guy, a few years ago, was a turnover machine. He was always a shooter, but his handle was hit or miss. It's no longer hit or miss, folks. Right? This guy now has one of the better handles in the league. This guy now is showing some real point guard skills. Steve Nash, who knows a lot about playing point guard, says that it's hard to imagine there ever having been in the history of the league a more skilled player. Right? When people talk about Curry shooting, they don't just say that he, is an excellent shooter. People will say, you know what, this guy might be the best shooter I've seen in my life. Right? I'm not kidding. As good as he was last year, he's lifted his game. The second person, who to me is clearly one of the top 10 players in the league, is a forward who can play center, who somehow is averaging more than 6 assists a game. Folks, that's more assists a game than many starting point guards. Right? And that's Draymond Green. Now, Draymond Green somehow in this offseason has added to his three-point game. As lethal as the Warriors were last year, and keep in mind, they finished with more than 65 wins last year. As lethal as they were last year, they're even better now. There's no complacency whatsoever with this team. They're rolling, right? I think they set the NBA record for the best start ever. I'm just assuming that I'm going to lose the under 58.5. I'm not going to tear up my ticket because key players can get hurt, right? Even Jordan missed several months of a season, his second year, right? I'm not going to tear up my ticket. Steph Curry might crash into Draymond Green on the court. They might both get knocked out, and who knows what'll happen. But let's just say I expect to lose that bet. The Warriors look like they're clearly over 58.5 wins. Let's talk about the NFL. Let me say this. Now, I'm a Pac-12 guy, right? As is the general manager of the Denver Broncos, John Elway. Why that's important is, if you're a Pac-12 person with a memory, you remember Brock Osweiler at Arizona State University putting up more than 4,000 passing yards. You remember him being the first freshman to start a game at quarterback at Arizona State University since Jake Plummer, more than a decade earlier. Osweiler is such a good athlete that he got recruited to play basketball at Gonzaga. Right? Think about that. He's 6'8". He's one of the best athletes at the position in the National Football League. He's not just a thrower, folks. The guy is a straight-up athlete. Now, this is the opposite of Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's always been a great quarterback. Right? Has always been a great quarterback. But Peyton Manning's not the guy who, when the pocket breaks down, you fear taking off and running by you like, let's say, a Russell Wilson. Right? He's not that guy. This guy is. Let me also point out, too, the next opponent is going to be Bill Belichick, who, quite frankly, has owned Peyton Manning, right, in the postseason. Understand, too, that, the New England Patriots are really on a mission. I know no one in the organization wants to talk about it. They want to go unbeaten. A few years ago, it was Spygate. The team was on a mission after that. They felt dissed by the public. When Tom Brady left the field in that Super Bowl with Randy Moss, they had the lead in the game. Think about it. This is right before David Tyree and all that other stuff. Well, now they're back. The one thing that gets under the skin of Patriot fans is remembering how close they came to an unbeaten season. Like Golden State, this team is still hungry. Right? Deflategate, Patriot fans are outraged. Don't kid yourself. Right? Bill Belichick and the Patriots are going to treat that game against Denver next week as a playoff game. Right? I'm expecting New England to beat Buffalo on Monday night. Right? Today. Later today. Right? Let's get real here. Just look at the splits in terms of winning percentage during the Tom Brady era. The Patriots at home. Right? The Patriots at home are a juggernaut. They were a juggernaut. Let's just say I doubt for Patriot players, Rex Ryan is the opposing coach they respect the most. Right? Ryan's been talking a lot of smack for a long time, hasn't he? Right? My point to you is, I think the Patriots win Monday night. I think they go into Denver unbeaten. If you're John Elway, you have a choice. You could go with the older player, who isn't the athlete the younger player is, who doesn't have the arm the younger player has, who has a track record of losing in big games to Bill Belichick. Right? Or you could go with the young lion, the Pac-12 guy. Right? He's young, sure. Right? He doesn't have the career accomplishments Peyton Manning has had. But at least with him, you have a quarterback ready and willing to operate under center as opposed to a pistol formation, right? Who, in his one start of the year, did not throw an interception, right? And reinvigorated that rushing attack while hitting Demaryius Thomas for a touchdown. I'm expecting Osweiler to be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos in their big matchup against the New England Patriots. Let's talk about some other things too. I know the public's hearing a lot about different coaches. Bill Belichick, for example. Ron Rivera, deservedly so. You're unbeaten this late in the season. You deserve a lot of praise. Let me talk about two other guys who deserve a lot of praise right now. Right? In fact, they're doing their best work of the season. Gamblers need to take a look at the job Lovie Smith is doing in Tampa Bay. And they need to take a look at the job Bill O'Brien is doing right now in Houston. These teams stumbled out of the gate. These teams have had problems, right? In Houston, Ryan Mallett couldn't figure out how to, set his alarm clock and wake up on time, right? Houston's had a situation where it was musical quarterbacks, right? Hoyer, Mallett, Hoyer, now TJ Yates. Okay, fine. Just understand that they're tied for the lead in their division. They're 500 with 6 weeks to go, right? They've dealt with major injuries, right? Arian Foster, one of the league's best running backs, out, right? Out. And they're still tied for the lead in their division. Let's talk Lovie Smith. Let's talk another story, Jameis Winston. There's a game out there where Winston threw a bunch of picks, right? Many wise guys were saying this guy looks like a bust. Look at that touchdown to interception ratio right now. They've given Winston the entire playbook. He's not a game manager, folks. Look at his yardage on the season. The guy is throwing the ball all over the field. Dare I say, right now, in the middle of his rookie year, he's already in the upper half of the league. Take a good look at Tampa Bay. Let's also talk about a team that lucked out this weekend. I'm a Giants fan, right? I remember when Bill Belichick was our defensive coordinator. Longtime Giant fan. Everything has broken our way, right? Philly imploded this last weekend. Mark Sanchez, 3 more picks, right? The Washington Redskins lost this last weekend. Now, I'm not saying the Giants have played great football. I'm not saying the Giants didn't give away a few games, that they were leading late in the fourth quarter. I'm not saying Tom Coughlin's clock management is the best in the league, right? I'm not. But what I am saying is, wow, the Giants are in a great position to win the division, aren't they? Right? They play Washington next week. As up and down as the Giants season has been, just understand, right now, everything seems laid out for us. Right? Even JPP is back, and he's playing decent football. Right? So we've had problems. Victor Cruz injured, out for the year. Right? JPP tried to blow off his hand. Okay, fine. We've had problems. Right? Running back saying, hey, I was told not to score, when, of course, the score would have helped us win the game. Okay. Just know it's years like this where interesting things happen. Look at the history of the Giants, right? They're one of those rare teams that can handle a Green Bay in the playoffs, right? Don't count Big Blue out. Let me say this too. You remember in Atlanta, you remember when we heard that Matty Ice at home was close to unbeatable, right? This guy at home was supposed to be like a Southern Tom Brady. Well, just understand, things are so crazy right now in Atlanta that Matty Ice and the Atlanta Falcons have lost their last 2 home games. Folks, it's ridiculous. It's not like they just played Carolina and New England at home. No, they played Tampa Bay and Indy. They've lost their last 2 home games. Also, think about the great offensive players in the league. I'd say Julio Jones has to be on any list. He's over 1,000 yards receiving. Why is it then that the Atlanta Falcons haven't scored more than 23 points in any of their last 4 games? How do you have this many offensive weapons and not put up more points than they're putting up? Right? Also, didn't they have a break this last week? Right? It wasn't Indy with healthy Andrew Luck. No, it was Indy with their backup quarterback. Right? Also, when we say Indy, I think we all know we're not talking about an elite defense. Right? I mean, you're not filling up your Pro Bowl ballot with a lot of Colt players. Why is it that against the Colts, at home in Atlanta, the Falcons were only able to put up 21 points? All I'm saying is this: the talent's on the roster, but right now, they're out of sync. Let me return to the NBA. I think it's clear now, and this is the first month of the season, right? It's November the 23rd. I think it's clear now that the Los Angeles Lakers blew the draft. They had the 2nd pick in the draft. The 2nd pick in the draft. I'll just put it to you this way. The Knicks didn't pick Porzingis until pick number 4. Had the Lakers at 2 pick Porzingis, he would probably be, at this stage of everyone's career, the best player on their roster. Certainly the best big man. Right? Russell might turn out to be a decent player. But Russell's probably not going to be the offensive threat Okafor is. He might not be the guard Mondier is. Right? Let me say this too. We're now learning a lot more about this freshman class. Okafor defensively, it's not happening for him. I don't think it ever does. Right? Willie Cauley-Stein offensively, it's not happening for him. I don't think it ever does. Right? Everyone looks like a, big carrot diamond on draft day. Now we're finding out these young guys have some holes in their games. Right? I would say the 2 best players out of the draft, the guys who look like they have the most upside, are the 1st pick in the draft, Karl Anthony Towns. He does look like he has a lot of upside. Right? And the number 4 pick, Porzingis. Right? Jury's still out on Mondier because Mondier can't shoot as well as I do. Right? So that's a cause for concern. Now it's early. I'm sure there are other rookies out there with a lot of talent who, for whatever reason, haven't really had an opportunity to break into the lineup. Right? Okay, fine. Let me mention a guy who's not a rookie, who's had a hard time getting minutes, but who seems to be much better than advertised. And that's your reigning slam dunk champion. I know Zach LaVine, we saw him dunking and we said, oh, this guy's a great dunker. Guess what? The guy might be a damn good baller. Take a look at his stats with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'll say this. I know Wiggins was picked 1st in the draft, the year he came out. Right? Someone is going to have to explain to me the parts of Wiggins' game that are appreciably better than Zach's game. Right? Zach's a better passer. Right? Zach is at least as explosive offensively when given the opportunity as Wiggins is. Right? Zach has some height on him. It looks to me like he can play more than one position. Right? Young guys eventually reach their prime and take over the league. Take a hard look at Zach LaVine if you're in a fantasy pool. Anyway, that's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section to this video. Thanks for stopping by.